In February of 1959, 9 experienced hikers set off into the Ural Mountains. They were led by Igor Dyatlov, hence the name of this event, the Dyatlov Pass Incident. The group planned to ski down the northern slopes of Mount Otorten and then make their way to the nearby village of Vijay. But when they failed to show up for their train back home, an extensive search was mounted. What the searchers found was bizarre, disturbing, and has never been explained. Hi, I'm your host, and you're watching this channel. Join me today as we look at the curious events surrounding the death of these 9 hikers almost 60 years ago. Our story begins on February 2, 1959, when 9 members of the Ural Polytechnic Institute Ski Club set out from the nearby village of Vijay. The group consisted of 3 couples and 3 single men, all of whom were in their early 20s. The group was led by 37-year-old Igor Dyatlov, who had led many similar ski expeditions before. Dyatlov was an experienced outdoorsman, and his group was well equipped for their trek. Over the next few days, the group skied across the snow-covered mountains, enjoying the winter wonderland around them. On February, they made camp near a pass between 2 mountains, which would become known as Devil's Pass. The group set up camp around 8 p.m. and by 10 p.m., everyone had retired to their tents. 2 of the tents were set up close together with 4 people in one tent and 5 in the other. At some point during the night, something happened that would cause the 8 people in the 2 tents to abandon ship. In the morning, the search party found both tents partially unzipped and in disarray, suggesting a hasty departure. 4 of the 8 people were still inside the tents, and it appeared as though they had been sleeping peacefully. When the search party reached the tents, it was snowing heavily and the temperature was around 22 degrees Fahrenheit. As they investigated the area, they found strange evidence that suggested foul play. All 8 bodies were found relatively close to each other, but some had serious injuries. One of the men had a large skull fracture, another had several broken ribs, and a third had a crushed chest. Several of the bodies also had strange lacerations that couldn't be explained. It seemed as though whoever had attacked the group had not attempted to hide their brutality. As the searchers continued their investigation, they found more evidence that added to the mystery. Dyatlov's camera was found on a rock and the lens was missing. One of the skiers was missing his eyeglasses and another was missing his boots. Some of the bodies also had missing clothing, including one woman who was only wearing one ski glove. It soon became apparent that these hikers had not died from exposure or avalanches. The evidence clearly pointed to murder, but who was responsible? The Soviet authorities claimed that the group had been killed by an unknown man-eating creature. However, there was no evidence to support this claim. One theory is that the group was the victim of a rare form of slow-moving avalanche known as a snow slab avalanche. When the heavy, wet snow falls on top of a layer of weaker, drier snow, it can create a weak layer within the snowpack. If the top layer becomes too heavy, it can cause a massive slab of snow to break off and slide down the mountain. People caught in the middle of a slab avalanche are often completely buried and suffocate. This could explain why some of the bodies were found with serious injuries and why some were found without their clothing. Another theory is that the group encountered a group of hostile natives. There are several small isolated tribes in the Ural Mountains, and it's possible that the group encountered one of them. However, there is no evidence to support this claim, and it's unlikely that a primitive tribe would have the means to kill 8 people and then take some of their gear. There's also the possibility that the group was the victim of a military experiment gone wrong. The Soviet Union was known for conducting secret experiments on its citizens, and it's possible that the Dyatlov group was used as test subjects. However, there is no evidence to support this claim, and it's unclear what the military would have been testing in the remote wilderness. In the end, the case remains unsolved and the true cause of the Dyatlov Pass incident is still unknown. What do you think happened to these 9 hikers? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.